move on to our next topic here, and our user submitted question is about, Ryan Reynolds not being able to be Ryan Reynolds on the set of Deadpool 3. Chris, what do we got?
From Rudy Pena, with Deadpool 3 beginning production soon, does the writer's strike affect any of the on-set ad-libs and any additional writing that may happen? I would hate to see a Deadpool where improvisation is not welcome. Thanks, and bring on the filthy.
All right, thanks a lot for saying that in, Rudy. Now, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on this particular specific subject, but my understanding would simply be this. Let's say you have a completed script and the movie's ready to shoot and you're shooting and there's a writer's strike going on. I don't think there's anything that would prohibit an actor from ad-libbing some lines and the director going, yeah, I love that. Let's keep that. I don't think there's anything stopping that. Now, of course, Ryan Reynolds, particularly in the Deadpool movies, is infamous for just kind of riffing his own stuff sometimes, which is why Deadpool has such a Ryan Reynolds feel to it, is that he has done a lot of that. So will he be able to do that? Well, I'll tell you what. I did a quick search and I could not personally find an answer to this question. I emailed Ryan Reynolds, surprise, surprise, I didn't get an answer back, but asking this question. Is Ryan Reynolds a member of the WGA? Ryan Reynolds has a writing credit on Deadpool 2. And there's other things that he maybe should have credit on, but never did get credit on. But I could not find an answer about whether or not he was a WGA member. But then I came across this in Deadline, which they seem to suggest that maybe Ryan Reynolds is. This is what's in Deadline. It says the following. As for the films going into production soon, Deadpool 3 is up first. Star Ryan Reynolds is known for working as a writer on the films he produces and stars in, either uncredited, as in the case of Deadpool 2, credited. Under the current strike rules, while non-writer, director, or producers can make small adjustments to the script under the A through H clause, a writer such as Reynolds would not be allowed to. Now, it doesn't say the words explicitly, but I think what is implied here is that Reynolds is a WGA writer. And if he is indeed a WGA writer, he can't do any creative input in the movie while the movie's shooting. He might be able to say, hey, what if we had the light on this side instead of that side? He might be able to say, hey, how about instead of a Chihuahua, we use a Dachshund for the dog here? He might be able to do that. But when it comes to creating dialogue and narrative, the rules of the union strictly prohibit him from having any creative input on that. So even though he's the producer of the film, even though he is the star of the film, if he's considered a writer, then he can't do any of that. Now, that is not the end of the world, because hopefully, he was with the writers, that they did the other Deadpool movies. Hopefully they poured all that energy and creativity into the script as it is. And by the way, we're still a little ways off from Deadpool 3 starting to shooting. So hopefully, fingers crossed, the strike gets resolved before this happens. But there is a very real possibility here that we're going to get a Deadpool 3 where, hey man, I hope you got all your best magic on the script, because that's the only place you can draw it from. Anyway, Chris, have you been in a situation like this? I mean, the last writer's strike was 15 years ago, but is there a scenario where actors who are not members of the WGA can do some ad-libbing and improvisation? Or if they're also happen to be members of the WGA, they can't. I don't know. Can you make some sense out of this?
Yeah, the WGA bit kind of throws a wrench in everything, right? If you were not a member of the WGA, say Hugh Jackman, you would be able to fully be improvising along on set. That's why when we had Quantum of Solace during the last strike, Daniel Craig was able to punch things up, rewrite things, do things.
Because he's not a member of the WGA.
He's not a member of the WGA, and I think we all saw why. No offense to you, Daniel, but it wasn't the greatest Bond.
How rude.
When we have something like, we brought this up earlier this week, if you have something like a commercial, usually those scripts are written by marketing teams and everything too, and a lot of times they bring in actors, usually non-union actors, to improvise those things as well. Sometimes it's a SAG mandated things too, where they'll just have you improvise lines, you have a storyboard, and you kind of just get the gist of things. But for this, because Ryan has writing credits, and if he is in fact a member of the WGA, him adding that kind of input would be him crossing that picket line. So that's the issue. It would then also get him banned from the WGA with the potential of never being admitted ever again. So that's an issue here too, is a lot of people are saying, who's going to stop him? How would they hold this accountable?
I know. I love that though. Like, who would step up to Superman and stop him on set? I'm like, it's an entire
It's
business.
an entire
Like, what are you
crew.
talking
It's an
about?
entire crew of people who are in this industry who, again, are fighting for each other's fair wages. So I think the workaround here are you could have somebody like Jackman maybe doing some improv and everything, and he gets Ryan's sense of humor. They do funny bits together all the time. But it is a very, very convoluted issue of just this is, in a way, you rewriting things. And as a member of the WGA, that is not allowed at this time if you would like to remain in good standing.
Okay, now as somebody who's never been in one of the Hollywood unions myself, tell me if this understanding is correct or not, because it could very well be very, very wrong. Are there not projects that are considered union projects where it's like, hey, if you want a director from the DGA and actors and SAG to be in this movie, it has to be a script by a WGA member? Is that, could that be one of the repercussions for Ryan? Because if he's kicked out of the WGA, maybe scripts he writes in the future will not be able to be made by anybody because it will technically not be a union project. Is that a fair assessment? Am I a little off? Am I way off?
I would need to talk to my friends who are in the WGA more to fully understand that. I feel like that is correct, but I don't want to give any misinformation since that's not
which would be a huge repercussion for someone like Ryan Reynolds to say, oh, if I get kicked out of the WGA, any movies I want to write in the future can't get made. I mean, again, we are nebulous about this. I could be way off in this. We're just thinking out loud here. But anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Maybe it's not a big deal. Think, you know what? Those screenwriters, they are so good and they worked with Ryan for so many years on this script. It's probably gold the way it is. Don't need to worry about it. Maybe you're like, hey man, if Ryan Reynolds can't ad-lib on set, this could not be as funny as the other ones. I don't know. Whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of this video, Rocket Money. The average person has around 12 paid subscriptions. Think about that. If you think you're only subscribed to a handful of services, you might want to double check. With Rocket Money, you can quickly identify and cancel all of your unwanted subscriptions. Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill, is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Rocket Money will quickly and easily identify your subscriptions for you so you can stop paying for the ones you don't want and don't even use. Simply find the subscription you don't want and press cancel, and Rocket Money will cancel it for you. No more long hold times with customer service or tedious emailing back and forth. Rocket Money makes canceling subscriptions as easy as the click of a button. My wife Ann and I moved out of Burbank 2 years ago, and one of the first things I discovered when I loaded up Rocket Money was that I was still paying for a gym membership I haven't even been to in Burbank in 2 years. So stop throwing away your money. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/Campea. That's rocketmoney.com/Campea. rocketmoney.com/Campea.